Welcome to the Barreto family. We are so excited you are here. We have been planning this video for a while. If you guys asked questions on one of our last videos, this is the video you have been waiting for. I'm here with Mattman and Robyn, with Robyn from that channel, Mattman and Robyn, and we are excited to answer your Operation Christmas Child questions. Now, we're doing this video in two parts because you guys asked a ton of fantastic questions. So if by chance you do not see the answer to your question on this video, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you guys to hop over to Robyn's channel, and I will put a link to that video up here. And on Robyn's channel, we have done the other part to this video with the other questions. So again, if you did not see your question answered during this video on my channel, hop over to Robyn's channel, and we have the part 2 with the other questions for Operation Christmas Child on her channel. So make sure you check out both of those videos. You guys asked phenomenal questions, and we are so excited to get them answered on these videos. Are you ready to answer some questions, Eliana? Say yay!
Yay! Okay, so Jessica with Foothills Family, who is actually a YouTuber here, she wants to know, what are the best wow items per age group and gender in your opinion?
Okay, so this one is a really good question, and I'm going to go off of what I've seen the kids react to the most. So I'm going to start with the 2 to 4. With the 2 to 4, I think boys love like Tonka trucks or toy cars, like something somewhat big, not necessarily the little Hot Wheels, but something a little bit bigger that's a car. They love that. Girls love dolls, whether it's Barbie, whether it's a baby doll. So the 2 to 4 age, I think those are kind of the things that make their eyes light up. So by the time they're in the 5 to 9 age, I would say it's more moving towards sports. So a Nerf football or a soccer ball, something like that. And then by the time they are 10 to 14-year-old boys, I think sports is the way to go. A big soccer ball, something that they can play with their friends, something like that. Girls, 5 to 9, I would say they're still enjoying the dolls, the Barbies. Barbie dolls especially, most people in foreign countries can't afford the name brand. And so when they get a name brand Barbie, they tend to love that. And then I would say the oldest girls, the 10 to 14, yes, they still enjoy things like that, but I think it's more towards more mature, like stuffed animals. So those like Beanie Babies that are kind of, I guess, a little bit more mature looking, or jewelry. You would be surprised what lights up their eyes to see something jewelry, because jewelry is fairly expensive. It's not something that they tend to get very often. And I'm not talking about pearls and diamonds, but like something that you would find, you can find it at Walmart, where they have those little packs that have earrings and necklaces and bracelets. So it's not necessarily anything expensive, but something fancy, I guess I would call it. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Oh, and then the next question that we have is from Izzy Chavez. She wants to know, what is the most needed item that needs to be in shoeboxes?
So this one is like a 4-parter question. I had to talk to my husband about this one too. So when I asked my husband right off the start, I said, what would you say is the most needed? His initial gut reaction was something evangelistic, which I loved that he said that, whether it's a book or a pamphlet or a bracelet or a cross, something that brings it back to Jesus, to that's the reason that the shoebox is packed. And so I loved that answer. And then we also talked about each of the different kind of sections, because when Operation Christmas Child gives their like suggestions, they talk about hygiene items and school items and fun items. And so we talked, and if we're talking about hygiene, so I'm going to break this into parts. What is the most needed hygiene item? A good toothbrush. And here, like for instance, in Colombia, you can find those super cheap toothbrushes that they really don't clean your teeth. And that's what most kids use, because that's what they can afford. So if you can go and spend a little bit extra to get a good solid medium strength Colgate, something that's like name brand, that's really going to last them, because that might be the toothbrush that they use the entire year. And so if you can get a good quality toothbrush, I would say that's the most recommended. And then for the 10 to 14 box, deodorant. So fun fact, when I was in Ecuador, I ran out of deodorant. I took it from the States. I brought it. I was there for a year. And so obviously it did not last me a year. I went to the store in the jungle of Ecuador to buy a new deodorant, and a travel size deodorant was $9.
Wow.
Travel size deodorant, or even a big deodorant if you want to use up that space, whatever size. But I would say for the 10 to 14, deodorant is expensive. So that would be a hygiene. School supplies, if we're looking at the most needed item, colored pencils. They are super pricey. When I was in the jungle, so jungle and city living is very different, but in the jungle, a cheapo, like not name brand, they break every 5 minutes, pack of colored pencils was $7. And most kids can't afford that. So they don't get good colored pencils. They also always need the 3 colors of pens, the blue, the black, the red. And then the other thing would be a quality pencil sharpener so that they don't eat through those colored pencils, so that they last them a while. Because most of the kids in Ecuador use an X-Acto knife to sharpen their pencils. That's what they have. And so if you're using an X-Acto knife, you're eating through those pencils like crazy. Or if you use super cheap quality. So here in Bogota, most of the pencil sharpeners we find are really low quality and they just eat up the pencils. So if you send colored pencils, it would be great to have a really good quality pencil sharpener to go with it. And then the last section, this is not necessarily a need. I know she said what is the most needed, but in terms of toys, something my husband mentioned that I loved was something that causes them to think. So for the younger kids, like a puzzle, or those like brain teaser puzzles where you have to try to get the blocks out of the right thing. For the older kids, something that causes them to think. And then the other thing would be stuffed animals. So stuffed animals, everywhere I've been internationally, they've been super expensive. So those are things that kids just don't get very often because they are more pricey. So deodorant, colored pencils, stuffed animal, just because of the cost, they don't necessarily get very often. So
those are great insights. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Also, Beth wants to know, can you recommend a flashlight for the boxes?
I'm actually going to have you answer that one because I don't know what's available. I see what comes. I would say, and you've mentioned this on your channel, stuff that doesn't need batteries, but what would you recommend? Because that's your expertise. So I'm going to let you handle that one.
Well, of course, if you have watched my channel at all, you know that I love the crank flashlight, like Kayla said, that doesn't require solar or battery power, but any flashlight I think is so important because it's not only a source of fun and play, but it could also provide the entire family light in the darkness. And that's not only important like in our actual lives, but it's such a great metaphor for what this box represents. So if you do choose to send in a flashlight, please be sure to send in the batteries that go with it. So that's my advice on flashlights.
Yes. And I cannot tell you how much power goes out in these locations, even in Bogota, even in a capital city, we're without power a ton. So flashlights are good.
Beth also wants to know, which type of box do you think is best, the cardboard boxes or the plastic boxes?
So I actually loved it that someone asked this question. And I'm going to say from the very start, we've received boxes for 2 years now. This is going to be our 3rd year that we're going to give them out. When a child sees a plastic box, they do not care what's in it. That's the one they want. And the reason is because they see it as useful. They realize if I get that box, I get to pack my stuff in it. I can store my stuff in it. My mom might be able to use it for dishes, for cleaning supplies, for XYZ, whatever it may be. Wow. And I've seen that everywhere, whether it was in the jungle areas, whether it was here in Bogota, they tend to gravitate towards the plastic box just because it's useful. And so I will say storage here is a huge issue. Most of the apartments are built without closet space. There's just no storage. And so to have a box that they can store stuff in is really, really useful. So I would say if you can swing it, whether you are using the Operation Christmas Child green plastic box or whether you're using a dollar store plastic box, whatever that container, because it is a useful item, if you can do it in a plastic box, the kids are going to appreciate it.
Good. I've always thought of the plastic boxes as a gift in themselves. So when I'm factoring in the costs of my budget for the box, I always look at the plastic boxes as part of the gift. So that's good to know that it is used and well received.
Absolutely.
Our next question is from Sharon Creates on YouTube, and she would like to know if kids like getting crafted items, homemade items, along with store-bought items.
Great question. And I would say absolutely. Because they see that love. They see that love that has come through. We've seen lots of like knitted things. We've seen bags come through that are knitted, or like clothing for dolls, or a scarf, things like that. And so I would say they absolutely love it. But my only thing with that would be, do a combination. Don't just put crafted items, because they also want that new item that they may not get a lot. So I would say it is super valuable, super loved to put something that you have put your heart into making with your own hands and your own time. And I have never seen a child that has not enjoyed that item that came through, whatever the case may be. We even saw, I don't know if you've ever seen those beaded geckos, where like kids make geckos out of pony beads, and the kids love them. Like, yeah, it's something that was handmade and crafted from the heart, and they love it. But I would say make it a balance. Don't just pack crafted items in a box. Make it a balance if you'd like to, so that they get both a little bit of both worlds.
Good. Panther Gal wants to know, do you think Franklin Graham will come to the party?
I saw that question. She was wondering if, because they delayed it, if it's because he's coming. I highly doubt it. In these years that I've done OCC, he's never come to a location I've been at. I know he travels every once in a while to be present and see what God's doing, and probably check in with them, but I doubt it. I don't think we're going to see Franklin Graham. But I will say with that, the trainers that came and did our training as pastors, they do pop into the events. So they check in with us, and they do like almost random checks to make sure that the pastors are doing what they have signed off to do. So they asked us for our church address and for when we are doing our party. And it is very possible that the day of our party, one of those coordinators, one of those administrators might show up just to check in and make sure, A, that we're completing and doing what we said we would do, and B, to help. So they do a really good job keeping us accountable. If that's what I'll say to that one. Franklin Graham, I don't think will be here, but they do make sure that the they do make sure that the boxes that are sent are used in the best way possible. So I think that speaks a lot to Operation Christmas Child.
Yes, it does. Fiona wants to know, what would you want to pack in your shoebox, and would it be for a boy or a girl, and what age range?
If I were to pack a shoebox, I think I would want to pack one for a young, like 2 to 4 girl, just because we've got a little 1-year-old. And so I see all sorts of stuff that she plays with. And so I think that's just like in my mind. I would love to pack even like these type of puzzle things, maybe not one this big, obviously, but like something puzzle wise for a 2 to 4 girl, baby doll, or a stuffed animal. Eliana has gotten in the mood of trying to feed babies and to hug stuffed animals. So things like that for a 2 to 4 girl. And then the other thing would be a 10 to 14 boy. And the reason for that one is because most of our kiddos, like I said, with ministry are that age. And also I love soccer. And so I've played soccer since I was 5. And that's something that we do here all the time. I would love to make like a soccer box for a boy with a soccer ball and a pump and a jersey. I think that would be a lot of fun. So if I were to pack 2 boxes, it would be 2 to 4 girl and a 10 to 14 boy. A little bit of a difference, but those would be the 2 that I would pack.
The Mic Drop Prophet wants to know, why do you think it is that there's such a specific time frame for your party this year?
You know, my husband and I have talked about that, and we're not sure. We've got theories and ideas. I don't think we will ever know. But our theory is they've had a hard time getting all the pastors trained and getting boxes distributed to pastors. So I know they still have a ton of boxes that have not been handed out. And so my guess is they want to get all of those boxes handed out before we start to do the parties. And part of the reasoning for that is so that we don't do parties in the same location and have kids get 2 boxes. Or I do a party and then all of a sudden word spreads and they know, and now at another party, a bunch of kids go and they have too many kids. So my guess is it's more of a logistical concept where they're trying to have us give them out roughly at the same time so that we don't have a whole lot of overlap. That's our guess in terms of why they're asking us to do it within a specific week. They've never done that before. They've never given us just 1 week. But my guess is that they're trying to make sure they get as many boxes passed out to pastors and then try not to have a whole lot of overlap and repeat and have the word spread too quickly. And then the other pastors that do it later end up swamped with kids. Because I will say once the word gets out, the kids come. So that's my guess. We will never know for sure, but that is my guess.
Okay, this is the very last question. It says, would love to know what the older kiddos 10 to 14 really need in their boxes. As far as shoes, what size is best for that age? I know we kind of already went over this, but that's the last question.
Perfect. So yeah, in terms of shoes, I'm just going to say that right away. I would say don't send them for 10 to 14, just because there's such a wide range and it's hard to find shoes that fit. And if you send them big, it's going to take up half the shoebox. It's just not equitable with the space you've got. But I would say the most needed deodorant for that age group, because it's expensive and it's necessary when they get to that age. And then things they like, girls like jewelry. They like little earrings. They like bracelets. They enjoy things like that. Stuffed animals are still good, the slightly mature ones. Ooh, I didn't mention this before. This is a good opportunity. Art supplies. We have all sorts of fun little like kits where you can scratch things off and make like magnets or like color by number, things like that. That age group really enjoys that. Build your own bracelets, jewelry making kits, something of that nature, I would say is more hands-on, more fun for the kiddos. So just a couple extra ideas for that age range, but pray about it. Look at what you have in your heart and just enjoy sending what God puts on your heart.
Okay, I think that's it.
That's all our questions. We made sure to write down and answer every question that came in. We had some on Facebook, some on my YouTube channel, and some on Robynn's YouTube channel. And so we are answering all of those questions. But if by chance you have a question that did not get asked, or you thought of another one later on, go ahead and put it in the comments below, and I will try to make sure that we get it answered either by writing it or on a future video as well. So if you have another question that is not answered or has not been answered, make sure you put it down in the comments below. All right, so that was it for the questions. Again, if your question was not answered in this video, check out in the description below. I will put a link to the video on Robynn's channel, and that's where the other half of the questions are answered so that the videos didn't get too long. Make sure you pop over there and check out her video with questions, and then other things on her channel just with suggestions on packing shoeboxes. We are so thankful that you guys joined us today. This was fun to film, fun to give you guys a little bit of insight. Don't forget that whatever God puts on your heart, it's going to bless a child. So just enjoy packing those boxes. Hopefully this gives you guys some tips and ideas, and we will see you on the next video.